Podcast City Network.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon from the Nest Podcast here with episode number 142. You'll notice if you're watching live that my co-host Zach is not going to be with us tonight. So I've had to go out and tap a few special guest co-hosts to come on tonight. And just like the stars gathered in LA this past weekend for the Oscars, I've assembled the stars for this episode tonight. First up, from Locked On Padres podcast, I brought in my main man, Javi. Javi, what's up, dude? How you doing?
How are you doing, sir? How are you doing on this fine Monday evening?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. And then also joining us from the Pesky Report, I have Brad and Jeff. Brad, what's up, guys? How you guys doing? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. And I have to say, your intro is extraordinary. It's better than it's better than Jim Rome. It's better than Baseball Today. It's like the best intro I have ever seen.
Hey, man, thank you so much. It takes a little bit of work whenever you get on the old MacBook and you filter around and you play around with all the different movie settings that they have. But it's fun. I like editing photos and videos, and that's kind of what I do. This is Nerd Entertainment Sports Talk. That's my nerd side coming out right there.
Love it.
So, guys, I brought you on. Like I said in the open, the stars gathered in Los Angeles this past weekend. Everything was aligned. We had the biggest show in Hollywood, and I'm not talking about the Oscars now. I'm talking about the Padres and the Dodgers there at Chavez Ravine Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Javi, I brought you on because I know after this 4-game series against the Dodgers, you and your Padres are on cloud 9. Tell us a little bit about how you're feeling coming out of that 4-game set.
It's okay.
It's just,
of course,
okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Are you kidding? Look, the simplest way of describing it is, I said this on my podcast. I've been saying this a lot lately. I don't know why I'm obsessed with this phrase, but it's just a good reminder that baseball is still baseball. And what I mean is, guess what? It's a long season, and the momentum can change quite quickly in baseball. And it's kind of, it's very silly to overreact to a week's worth of baseball, no matter what time of year it is, really, unless you're like deep in the September playoff wild card hunt or whatever it is. But you come off this series sweep against Milwaukee, who I think is actually like a pretty decent team. They kind of remind me of that like 2017, 2018, maybe 2016 Mets, where just a lot of pitching, not a lot of offense, but these two really great pitchers in Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burns. So it's like, all right, those aren't necessarily the prime candidates that you think your offense will get back to being right against. So I wasn't that annoyed by it. The thing I was annoyed by was the Nelson Lamet injury, obviously the Tatis injury, which is still scares me just a little bit, even after his, it was just mythological. It was Shakespearean weekend that he had.
As long as those cortisone shots are working, who cares, right?
Everything about this series, and even if the Dodgers had won yesterday's game, and that would have given them the edge total for the season series, even if they had won, I think it was Thursday's game, that was like a 3-2 score. Even if they won one of those, I still would have said this was an absolutely phenomenal series so far. There's only been kind of one quote-unquote boring game so far, and that was the Friday game, which was fun for Padres fans because they won 6-1 and Tatis had the 2 home runs, which was great. But in general, it's just it's a momentum shifter, you know what I mean? And hopefully they can keep it up. Obviously, this is a long season, like I've been alluding to, but it's a great example of why you just can't panic. And this team's roster, I know Tatis makes the headlines, but this team's roster is so obscenely, absurdly, disgustingly deep that they can make a super big run at any time. And look, Oakland started off 0-6. And look at them; they won 12 straight games. So just
Was it
everyone
12
needs
or
to calm
13?
down.
Yeah, I think it was 13.
Did they get to 13?
Yeah, I think it was 13.
I think
All
they,
right, 13 then. 13 then.
They went on an insane run.
that was
Insane run.
crazy.
You know, Javi, I had you on during spring training, and
Yes.
and we had a conversation about who we thought was going to win the National League West,
Mhm.
and I think everyone at that time agreed that it would most likely be the Dodgers that walk away with the NL West crown. But if you remember, we specifically said in a 5 or a 7 game series, it's anybody's bet who's going to walk away.
Mhm.
The Padres just won 3 out of 4. That's good enough to win a 5-game series.
Yeah, man. You bet your butt it is. Hey, look, it was like NLCS quality, the series.
It was.
Like if someone told you
April.
that series in a vacuum in April, if that series could somehow just be moved to the NLCS, obviously for biased reasons, I would love that. But would anybody have been disappointed?
No.
Especially with last night's game, or game 1 was absurd. It was one that was lost. Like it was awesome to see. And I don't know if I'm about to cuss out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to.
Not that I'm a big time, cuss like a sailor of these things, but I thought it was just total bullshit when people are talking about how John Boy made this point, just to steal from him a little bit, where he said he thinks that the Padres have a better chance to win the World Series than to win the division. And I think that really accurately sums it up. I understand when people made the jokes of like, oh, look at the Padres making all these moves, yet the Dodgers are juggernaut. They're not going to beat them in the division. That's fine. But when people were making jokes where they're like, oh, wow, the Padres acquired Blake Snell and Yu Darvish just to lose to the Dodgers in 5 games. What are you talking about? Yeah, because the Dodgers are known for not tragic, speaking of Shakespearean, having epic, tragic losses in the playoffs. All of a sudden, after the Mickey Mouse season, we're all just going to forget about that. And they earned it, by the way. I don't take that back. Mickey Mouse season, whatever. Bottom line, everyone had the same parameters to win the World Series, and they won it. But I don't like that just because of last year. You're like, oh yeah, the Dodgers, all their playoff concerns are eliminated. Clayton Kershaw, yeah, he's definitely not going to be remembered for all the times that he failed the playoffs. I don't like making fun of that guy though. It actually makes me sad, that picture of him in the dugout after the Howie Kendrick explosion. I'm like really feeling bad, but
I was going to say which picture of him in the dugout, because there's been multiple at this point.
Yeah, there's been multiple, but I remember seeing. I genuinely feel bad. He's a great talent. I hate how much it hasn't gone his way. But that's my only issue. There's no way that anybody can seriously say that the Dodgers have just ameliorated that concern. Yeah, I know you have Betts now. I get it. Mookie Betts is just by the way. Oh my God, Padres. Why is it that every game is ending with Mookie Betts having a chance to drive in these runs? I'm just terrified of that guy. But yeah, it would be absolutely awesome to see. It felt like an NLCS preview. It really did. And I'm excited. Chris Wilson says, go Red. No, agree. Do not go Red Sox. But I know we got the 2 Red Sox guys here.
I'm sorry, there's 3-1 here.
Oh, it's a 3-1 ratio. Oh my God, that's true. How did I not notice that on your head just now?
I have a question for you, Bobby.
What's up?
Okay, so like I've heard baseball teams or sports teams referred to in many figurative ways, but never yet Shakespearean and mythological, which I think are both singularly distinctive. But also, I would be interested in your take. And then as soon as you said, and then I was thinking of a couple things. Mythologically and Tatis, I was thinking of Wonder Boy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking Shakespearean, and the first thing that came to my mind was Boston Red Sox 2020, A Comedy of Errors. Right? So which of Shakespeare's 37 plays fits the Padres this year?
This is an excellent question because one, it genuinely is a great question. And 2, it shows by, I guess, lack of education because I'm going to forget all the Shakespeare plays. Look, I don't know, man. What was the one with the sword guys? Was that Macbeth?
The sword guys.
The sword guy. Here's a funny thing. I know more about Macbeth based on that Jimmy Neutron episode than the actual play from back in the day where they use like laser swords and stuff. I know. Hey, look.
Brandon, I'm going to sign off now.
Look, man, when they tell you to read books as kids, you just look, man, I was a video games kid. All right. Like that was my thing. And I'm not necessarily as interested, and it stinks because nowadays I'm like riveted by all that stuff. But Yeah, I'll go Macbeth. Look, I think another thing is Tatis is really just breaking the mold. I know it's such a cliche to say that he's exciting and that he's changed. Just the Bauer stuff. And I thought Bauer was amazing. How about LAD? I love the way the comments come up, by the way.
Yes.
How about the Dodgers and being the hottest rival in baseball right now? Yeah, I thought that it was going to be hopefully on that like Red Sox Yankees tier, just to shout you guys out, where it's just
the Red Sox Yankees rivalry. And I'll say this right now is not anywhere near what it used to be.
No,
the rivalry
had that 2-year period where it came back a little bit. You know what I mean?
If one team sucks, the rivalry is dead.
Yeah.
They both have to be good for the rivalry to be alive. And that's why the Dodgers and the Padres right now have so much, hatred, I guess.
Yeah, there's beef, man. The beef is real. I mean, just the fans, you can go on like Twitter and whatever and just see everybody hates each other. That's a good point though. The Yankees Red Sox one is so fun when it gets going. I grew up watching that, of course. Like I saw the Don Zimmer incident live, which was at the time as a kid, even as a kid, my dad and I we were rooting for the Yankees, obviously. We were just like, look, it's bad to like shove a guy. Obviously. Well, I'm from New Jersey. I grew up a Yankees fan. And my dad is still as fervent as ever in his Yankees fandom. But he hates Aaron Boone. When we saw that live in the moment,
so do I.
Even I was kind of like, look, man, it was bad, like seeing an older guy shoved, but also like
he deserved it.
I was just about to say that, like you kind of charged a dude. What do you think was going to happen?
He charged
the Posada
Pedro.
thing. Don't
he
get my mom.
Pedro in his prime.
Yeah,
Pedro's not going to get bowled over by a 70-year-old man.
You know what I mean? It's not like he like stepped back, cocked back his fist, and just, you know what I mean? Like it's not like he did something like that. He just kind of stepped out of the way and like, yo, what are you doing, man? You know what I mean?
It's like the Matador.
Fans, yeah, exactly. And look, I think that like my mom gets heated because she loved Jorge Posada, so she's like, screw you. The fight that you throw out your head, all that stuff, right? Oh man, I miss like it's a fun rivalry, right? And I don't think the Padres Dodgers has reached a level of like actual visceral hate like that, where like Pedro's threatening to throw out somebody's head. You have the Jason Varitek A-Rod thing, all that stuff, but it has the competitive fires, and you have a lot of personalities on both teams, I think, and especially with Bauer to the Dodgers. What's up?
Just wait until playoffs are on the line.
Oh my God.
That's when the rivalry will really spark.
That's
right
when it
now.
ignites.
Right now, it's just April.
Mm-hmm.
Right now,
Kershaw's already getting pissed off. You got some dude. Who was it? Profar. It was a Profar who hit the glove. It was.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Clayton Kershaw. And then Clayton Kershaw was just like, "That's bullshit swing. That's a bullshit swing." And that was like the first game that they had. It's like, come on.
Oh yeah, that was last weekend. Yeah,
that was last weekend. That was game 2, and then you have the Mateo incident, which was just. I honestly don't. I think that he was just like, look, I'm just sad right now because this is like the 3rd time I've been hit in 2 games, and I'm just sad. So I'm looking at this guy, and Santana did a little like this thing. I don't know if that's what prompted it, and then they just exchanged some words. And I don't know if you guys were listening to Don Orsillo, who's the
why would we not
for
listen to Don Orsillo?
You got to listen to him. Just making sure.
He's the best.
Sure. And he's just like, and now they're going to have words. And now they're going to fight. And it's like, he's like over dramatizing it. But I loved it. I loved every second of that game. Obviously they ended up losing, and the final score really didn't reflect how close and tight that game was. But it's the seeds are being planted for the hatred. Obviously the teams are at the same level. I think that one distinction between this rivalry versus Yankees Red Sox would be that like a considerable amount of baseball fans hate both teams. I don't think people hate the Padres, like unless you're Dodgers right now. They're kind of the team everyone's rooting for. They haven't been good in forever. They are basically the best they've been since like 98. Last time they went to the World Series, and then they lose to the Yankees buzzsaw that they ran into, unfortunately, that year. But this is the best they've been in so long. So this isn't the same. It doesn't have the historical context, I guess, as like Yankees Red Sox. But I'm hoping, man, because it's been a delight. I don't know what else to say, man. It's just been a delight.
Do you think that the rivalry in MLB has changed to the extent that back in the day, or not that long ago, players were on teams longer. They weren't, and so when we think about the old Yankees Red Sox rivalry, I mean, we're going back to, you can look at 60s, 70s, 80s, Mariano Rivera. But I mean, these guys were on the team ostensibly for 7, 8, 10, Bernie Williams, 7, 8, 10 years. So now with all this turnover, and almost I sort of see San Diego as nouveau, in a way. But so are other teams. How do you think that affects the whole term like rivalry?
That's a good point. And that's like one of the things with just do a cross sports thing really quickly, like in basketball where people are saying like there's so much turnover with players that it's very rare that you get those like lifers, I mean, that stay with the team forever. And that sometimes impacts like some of the rivalries between teams. Well, I would argue that sometimes that's a good thing. You just create new rivalries every year in the NBA. Who cares? Who cares if it's a long time one or not? It's just, all right, this year we got Nuggets, Clippers, whatever. Cool. That's the new rivalry and it'll be fun. I think that it's interesting because a lot of the Dodgers guys, some of them are getting older. So you have Kershaw and Kenley Jansen, maybe. They also have their young guys too with Bellinger and Mookie Betts. So it does feel like this could be like the stage one of like this could be the beginning of the long time 7-year rivalry or whatever, where Tatis and Machado are like some of the mainstays. Obviously, guys like Darvish, maybe Blake Snell. We don't know exactly where they'll end up, years from now. But you do have like the stars in place that could be the ones that are the content for continuity's sake can be there. But it's a more nascent rivalry. I mean, it's not like these guys have been seeing each other for so long. Famously, the Padres team is constructed of a lot of trades. The only like homegrown guy technically that they have is Mackenzie Gore still, who hasn't like made a major league appearance. I know Tatis, but Tatis was made in a trade, so he's not technically fully homegrown, even though he really is a Padre, obviously. Like that's where he debuts, that's where he is. But everybody, Machado, Hosmer, even Jake Cronenworth. Even Jake Cronenworth came from a trade that is now kind of infamous with the Hunter Renfroe trade.
What you're saying is without guys jumping ships, the Padres would not have a team this year. Got it. I'm gonna
try to put words in my mouth. Okay.
I'm gonna reel you guys back in a little bit, but I wanna answer a comment real quick where Chris was saying that Boston should have never given up on Mookie Betts.
Jesus Christ, dude.
I understand.
So tired of this
Brad,
crap.
calm down. I understand why the Red Sox got rid of Mookie Betts. It's we've explained it several times on this podcast. They've explained it on the Pest Report several times. I get it. I understand the move. What I'll never understand and never forgive is why Nesson gave up Don Orsillo and now he's over with the Padres. That is the unforgivable sin that happened in Boston.
I am more upset about that than the whole Mookie Betts thing. I will agree with you.
I want to kind of go game by game. We alluded a little bit to it on Thursday with the game one of this past weekend, where Buehler went out there with his 1.62 ERA against the Padres for his career. And he was dealing again. In fact, he was dealing and he was swinging because he got the first hit of the ball game as well. But I know you're probably pretty excited that Ryan Weathers went out there and spun a gem of his own. He went 5 2/3 innings, and he was brilliant for when he was out there.
Yeah, I mean, top overall draft pick. People forget, first rounder in 18. Just awesome stuff. It's a really great development, especially considering that Dinelson Lamet is hurt right now. And that's another thing that I know that they're saying he's going to come back after his IL stint. Cool. Whatever you say, Padres. They are not very good with their communication of injuries, I think is what they're more infamous for. I saw someone there was some Reddit post that said like 27% of the last 30 Tommy John surgeries have come from the Padres, something like that. Clevenger, and hopefully we don't get Lamet too. But it's a very fun development. He made his debut in a crazy situation last year in the postseason. And now he starts 2 games against the Dodgers, comes out there, he's really good in 15 1/3 innings, I believe. He's only given up 1 run in total so far this year. So really, really good stuff from Ryan Weathers. He had to monitor some of his control issues. Apparently, they said they wanted to see him locate the strike zone better. And he did that in spring training. He made the team. And maybe he's this year's Jake Cronenworth, where a lot of people weren't talking about. Now, Jake Cronenworth, I really do think was just completely out of nowhere. And he only made the team last year because Jorge Mateo got COVID. So he couldn't make the final. They had to, all right, Cronenworth is the next guy up. Imagine if that doesn't happen. Maybe we never get him. Maybe we never get this super utility, almost Ben Zobrist type player, right? And Ryan Weathers is stepping up big, especially because you don't know with Lamet, and you don't know. I mean, Chris Paddock hasn't been awful, but he's very much a far cry from his 2019 season, his rookie campaign. He needs that third pitch. That's what it keeps feeling like to me. I know the changeup is awesome, but the fastball, everybody just crushes that thing. They just sit on it, man. They're just waiting. They're just waiting for it. And when they hit it, he hasn't gotten nuclear blown up or anything like that yet. Like there was, like Lucas Giolito this last week, like got killed for some reason. I don't know why that happened.
40 something pitches in the first inning.
We
gave
know.
up like 8 runs.
We know. We were watching.
But yeah, just hoping that Ryan Weathers is another really good guy, especially also for a bullpen that's has its fair share of injuries. I know they'll have Matt Strahm coming back a little bit later on, but either way, great start for him. One of the low key kind of I'm keeping my eye on this. I'm curious to see how he turns out because, like I said, top type of draft pick. There was a reason why there's hype of him before. And oftentimes with the Padres, because of their really deep team and farm system, people forget about some of those other guys that we were supposed to be excited about in the beginning.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Weathers was. He went 5 2/3 shutout innings. Don Orsello's call on that double play to end the 8th inning with the bases juiced. The stuff of legends. The stuff of legends.
Cry,
Padres win 3-2, game 1. Friday night we have Darvish versus Kershaw. Dodgers jumped out to an early lead, but it didn't last long because Tatis went yard, Myers went yard, Tatis again goes yard. Kershaw's given up 3 home runs all season long. All 3 of them were Friday night against the Padres. So it is what it is. Darvish goes 7 innings. The Padres pile on, win it 6-1. These are the type of games that this is really going to help inflate the Padres as they go forward. Like we were able to crush Clayton Kershaw. Yeah. We were able to go out there and beat their guy. Yeah. And that going forward, that's going to be huge. Saturday night, this is the game that I think we're going to spend the most time on. Actually, the one game that the Padres lost this weekend was the Bauer start. Of course, there's a lot more to it than just the Bauer start. Tatis got him for 2 home runs. He did an epic troll job, which Brad is alluding to down there at the bottom of the screen right now with the covering of one of the eyes. And then he had the Conor McGregor strut as he crossed home plate, which is a direct troll job right to Bauer. But to his credit, Bauer had a pretty classy response to everything. And I definitely appreciated him saying like, hey, let him do it. That's what makes baseball great. If guys are going to get pissed off and throw at guys for celebrating their successes on the field, then they're weak. And I agree 100% with Clayton Kershaw, or I'm sorry, Trevor Bauer on that point.
I agree too. And look, like that's the funny thing is some people, they would ask me, they'd be like, who's going to start the fight? It's going to be Bauer, right? And I was actually like, no, if it's he'll be like on the bench somewhere chirping. It won't be during the start. I think everything, because remember, last year after Tatis's 3-0 incident, I mean, Bauer does have an online platform and all this stuff, and oftentimes for better and oftentimes very worse. I guess we could argue, and we don't have to get into that too much. Let's just say I'm not the biggest fan of Trevor Bauer's personality, I guess, but he was saying last year where he's like, we need this type of stuff, and also pad your stats. That's fine. You need that in negotiations and stuff. You think that stuff doesn't matter? RBIs and home runs? Of course it does. So it was very ridiculous. And on top of that, I was just like, all right, so then can we agree that the Texas Rangers, if you're so upset, can you then just surrender at that point in the game? Like you're just like, all right, you guys win the end. No, of course you're not going to do that. So why do we have to stop hitting? And also the Padres bullpen at that time was really bad. Anyway, back to the Bauer thing. So I wasn't surprised by these comments at all. I was like, yeah, that stays in line with what he's been for. And one thing I will say about Trevor Bauer is when it comes to his baseball, talking about baseball, I think I agree with a lot of things he's been saying. And I think that he's got a great point. It is weak. It is soft. And people have been hit by baseballs for the most innocuous of reasons. I mean, I'm talking Jose Urena, Ronald Acuna. The guy literally was just hitting well. That's it. That is literally it. And he literally had to leave the game after that. It's a young superstar player. And now look where we are, where Tatis is doing the stutter step when he rounds third. And then he's doing this, like you said, the McGregor strut. It's really great. And I think Bauer's being legit there. I think that if there's one thing we know is he cares about his public image very much. It would look awful if he's been saying all these things all along and then he starts hitting guys who celebrate against him.
Yep,
and on the other side of this thing, next game, when they face off, if Tatis strikes out 3 times against Trevor Bauer, he's allowed to do a strut. It's literally that simple. And I think baseball fans, yeah. Like
do that sword move or whatever that is.
Move.
Now, did you guys end up seeing that they continued it on Twitter?
Yes.
No, I didn't catch that.
You didn't catch that.
Tatis held up a picture of him holding a baby and put Trevor Bauer's face on it.
It was in response to Trevor Bauer. And I didn't mind his first comment either. He was like, because apparently you see the video of the second home run he hit off of him, where he takes a
kind of
peek
down.
Yeah, he peeked down, and he might have probably knew what the pitch was coming. But I mean, also a lot of guys do that. Whatever, this is an Astros scandal or whatever. But I like that Bauer was poking fun and being like, "Hey, you want to know the pitch next time? Just ask me or whatever." And then Tatis had, and unfortunately for his sake, probably a better response. But I was fine with that, and I liked just another thing, by the way, that's gotten almost forgotten. How the hell did he hit that second one out? The pitch was low and away.
5 inches off the plate. Yeah.
It's like you should get like a single out of that. If anything, that part just, I think has almost been forgotten, but I love it. And I think baseball fans sometimes don't realize this type of stuff happens in the NBA like all the time. And it's fun and people enjoy it. And nobody makes this giant deal. Oh, is Durant going to be suspended or whatever the heck, right? Like, no, it's just part of the product and creating storylines, make us have an attachment to these players. And nobody has been doing it better than Tatis the past like 2 years. And Bauer is also, I think, the pitcher equivalent for that. And if he wants to do his sword thing, he wants to do his strut, good for him. You know how you shut up both people? You win. That's how it works.
That's a good point. Yeah. And with the Kevin Durant point that you made, he's not dunking on people and then standing up flexing, saying, let's go, and then getting 2-game suspensions like Nick Castellanos did.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Sunday night baseball was an epic. If we're going to talk about your Shakespearean and we'll mythological, this was an epic. And it went 11 innings or whatever it was. But it started out pretty poor for the Padres because you guys were down 7-1. Of course, Tatis got his daily home run just to stay in shape. And
5 home runs in that series.
Stole 2 bases. Why not?
He had like a 400 something batting average. Dude was just incredible all series long. But the Dodgers were up 7-1. I thought, this is pretty much over. It is what it is.
Turn on the Oscars. Yeah.
Well, no, I was in class and I had my I had class on one screen and I had the game on the other screen in my office. So I was sitting there keeping one eye on it. I was like, 7-1. I can actually start paying attention to my class now. And then next thing I know, 7-3. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. What's going on over here? And then, before long, it's like, it's a tie game. Holy cow. Walk us through your emotions as the game progressed later and later, because at first I know you were probably ready to jump off the Coronado Bridge because May was out there just cutting up the offense.
Look, man. So it's a couple things. And first of all, it should be like known, it should be put out there. Like, I am a masochist and I enjoy pain inflicting on myself. And what I mean by that is I also had the Oscars on, which I hate, but I perennially watch anyway, because I like movies and I want to get mad at stuff, I guess. That's my interaction with the Oscars. So I had that on. I had the game on my laptop. And at one point, I was just, it's 7-1. All right, I could take a break from looking at this. I go over to my dining room table. I'm just only watching the Oscars for a little bit. And then I was like, all right, wait, let me check the score again. Because we always do that. I don't know about you guys. Even when your team is losing by a lot, you check the score. It's just a case. And then you're right. It's 7-3. And then I start watching 7-4. And then, of course, you get to top of the ninth, watching all these
you got the chance to come back. Now you got to pay attention to the game.
No Kenley Jansen, who is not as invincible as he used to be. Certainly, he doesn't instill fear in me when he's out there, but still a great pitcher nonetheless. Instead, it's Mr. Nelson. And oh my God. And it starts off with 2 outs. That's the other thing. 2 outs, all this happening. There are like 7 different stats out there all over the place about how unlikely this comeback was. Something like 6-1 games that teams are, or 7-1 games are teams are like, what is it, like 113,000 in the 7th inning if they're down by that much, something crazy like that. Unbelievable stats. Go look up ESPN stats and info and all these different places, and they make the comeback. You get the Hosmer, by the way, who I haven't talked about enough on here, has been the best hitter in terms of just bringing guys in, RBI opportunities, I guess, clutch stats, whatever you want to call it, on the Padres team. Obviously, Tatis after this weekend is, he's entered sage mode. He's been unstoppable, but Hosmer deserves a lot of credit too, getting some key singles. Grisham with a big hit, Machado with a big hit. You just love it. And you see the energy with all of them. They know this series matters. And even if the Dodgers fans sometimes like to act, oh, we're not scared, oh, whatever. Well, your team certainly does. The players certainly do. You can tell the energy is there. And the comeback, we go to extra innings. We have the big Tatis strikeout that happens, even though he could have brought them in, which would have just been that would have made it like the ultimate cherry on top, right? But he doesn't do it. Instead, it's an Eric Hosmer pop fly, which is, I guess you could say, a little anticlimactic, just a little bit. But bottom line is, heading into extra innings, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of like the extra innings rules. I think there's 162 games in the season. It's okay if we spice things up just a little bit if it happens to go to extras. And yeah, I mean, just unbelievable shit, man. Unbelievable. I can't.
The manager for the Boston Red Sox, speaking of those extra base rules, he said that he thinks that in the 10th inning, it should be runner on second. In the 11th inning, it should be first and second. 12th and beyond should be bases loaded to start the inning. That could really spice it up.
Yeah. It's like it's, how like in soccer where it starts off with the sudden death, just one more goal wins, and then it goes to penalty kicks. Maybe that like sentiment of, we'll start off with one thing that's kind of different, which is a man on second or whatever, a man on first, whatever. And then if we last again, then it goes to bases loaded, like you said. Like it keeps getting progressively. Or if you get into the 18th inning, it's bases loaded and the guy starts with a 3-0 count or something like that. You know what I mean? Like we get that far into the game.
We're getting way too fucking.
Like imagine that. It would be like, I mean, come on.
Holy crap! Traditionalists would just.
Yeah, their minds.
Oh my god, what's going on?
Okay,
they're losing their mind.
So I saw these. I saw Cora's comments and other people's everywhere. It's all on social media, and I think my first reaction to it was, all right, 9th inning, let's just bring the managers out. We'll do rock, paper, scissors. Or maybe, I know Alex Trebek recently died, but somebody could take his place to come out. You could set up the Final Jeopardy, podiums. And there could be, a Final Jeopardy. Because seriously, come on. This is not middle school, right? It's like, I'm tired. Whoever gets the last out. I mean, honestly, how long have they played this game? Like 100 years, and now they're changing the rules this year because the game's not interesting anymore, or because people are talking about pace of play. Personally,
you gotta start getting the kids more interested.
We can get them more interested, but the thing is is anyone asking the kids if they're uninterested because they need to have some first game shooter on?
It's Rob Manfred. Of course he's not.
Right. So seriously, it's like, it's ludicrous because, okay, let's just say, I don't advocate this, but let's just say put somebody on second base, they score, okay, whatever. All right. Then, okay, it's getting late. Put them on third. Put them, that's why I was being so inane about talking about rock, paper, scissors or anything, a tug of war or an arm wrestle or
water balloon toss, maybe.
I mean, seriously, why not put two players, put them on a bicycle? They've got to go underneath like a thing with like a rope. Where
are we going?
Like there's a hot dog hanging down.
Now we got hot dogs.
Okay, everything you just said, that last one, I'm in.
I'm totally
I understand the other ones, but that
dogs.
last one, you were exciting me. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm
pinata. Let's get a pinata up there.
Pinata, sure. Why not?
Also,
and,
just want to
and the
shout
tail
out
on the donkey.
Just want to shout out Rico Ocho, who I imagine for definitely not biased reasons just chatted "Let's go Yankees," and I didn't see that appear in the little feed right now, which I understand.
No, it's because there's a typo. He said "Let's goo Yankees," and I don't
I
know
see that
exactly
typo.
what that means. Yeah, so
you wanted to
I
just
did-
save him the embarrassment.
I didn't want to
Hold on.
confuse anybody.
Yeah, good guy, Brandon. Yeah, there you go. All right,
Hold on a second. What did he say?
He said "Let's goo Yankees."
Go ahead, post that up there.
Yeah,
Let's go
goo
Yankees.
Let's goo Yankees. They're losing to the Orioles.
Yeah, well, he's probably not even paying attention to the game.
Are they really losing right now? That's funny.
Yeah, Debbie Garcia gave up a bomb in the first batter he faced.
So I understand Jeff doesn't want to change the rules or anything, but that makes me
No, he
question.
does. He wants hot dogs.
That's true. He wants hot dogs and unicycles.
I'm hungry now.
But how do you feel about this rule, Jeff? This past weekend, Madison Bumgarner went out there and had
Bullshit.
a complete game shutout against the Atlanta Braves. Should that count as a no-hitter?
No. And
No,
here's
me
why.
either.
Yeah, here's why. Okay. So
Disagree.
all right. Well, it's it is if he pitches one batter and doesn't give up a hit, that's a no-hitter, technically.
But it's not a complete game.
No, it's not a
no-hitter.
So we'll say, sure, Madison, it's a no-hitter. 1 inning, 5 innings, 7 innings.
Yeah, but
However,
they're considering 7 innings a complete game. So if they're going to consider it a complete game, it should be a shutout. It should be a no-hitter. You can't do one and not do the other.
I don't agree. I would call a no-hitter.
You can't call it a complete game then.
No, I would say central or integral to a no-hitter is the requirement that you pitch a complete game.
Was the 7 innings a complete game?
Not as far as I'm concerned.
No, was the 7 innings a complete game? Yes or no?
No.
No, they considered it a complete game. So
correct.
he threw a no-hitter.
Correct. That's and wasn't like
they're not considering it a no-hitter because it wasn't 9 innings. So then why are we playing 7 innings?
I'm not.
He didn't have the chance to go ahead and pitch 2 more innings.
Yes, but let's say
so it's a no-hitter.
Well, let's say he did.
It's literally a no-hitter. He threw a no-hitter. They're not going to call it a no-hitter because they're saying that it's a 7 inning complete game and not a 9 inning complete game.
Let him finish, Brad. Let him finish.
Let me play devil's advocate for a minute. So they say, hey, the game's over, 7 innings, go home. And he says, please, I beg you, I don't want to leave unless I pitched a 9 inning complete game. And he just cries and whines, and they go, okay, all right, Madison. And they let him.
No, that's not going to happen.
No, I know it's not. But what if it's like saying to the person, you're on the green in golf, and you go, it's okay, you don't have to putt it. And they go, no, I want to. And they miss. And then they go, well, it would have gone in anyway. So my argument is, like, if he pitched to another batter because they let him or he wanted to in another inning and he gave up a hit, then what? So because technically you say it's a complete game or they say it is, he gets the record with no asterisk.
Okay, I see your point. I do understand what you're saying. I counter with if the Red Sox are in a doubleheader where there's 7 inning games and Matt Barnes comes in the 7th inning, should he get the save?
In a 7 inning game?
Yes.
Oh boy. You know what? How about, you're going to hate this answer, but how about if we just call it a no save situation? And so everybody else gets no save too, unless it's a 9 inning game.
Per the rules of MLB, he does get credited for that save.
Then you asked me a question. You tricked me.
I was asking your opinion on it.
My opinion, no save.
Because it's not really tricking you because MLB's rules say that it's not a no-hitter. So it's not really tricking you. This is just opinions right now.
Yeah.
But per the rules of MLB, he would get credit for the save, but Bumgarner does not get credit for the no-no.
He gets the no-no from me.
And Javi, you agreed with Jeff, right?
I mean, I think my general take on all rule changes, I think that the thing is, because I like them. I like what they did this year. I think that it's such a long season that I'm okay with having some things that make games different. But I get it. I get what Jeff was like. I think that my other thing is oftentimes, and I got to head out, by the way, so this will be kind of last point I make. It feel like, remember when we were arguing about replay? We were arguing about replay. It became a big thing, and everyone's like, this is going to make the game last too long. And while I still have some issues with the replay, when it finally got installed, people complained for what, like a week or two? And everyone was like, all right, whatever. And then the DH last year was another thing. You have the DH in the National League, and a lot of people have been complaining and debating this for years. And then you have the DH get installed, and how many people did you see being like, wow, I missed the pitchers batting? Not many. So not to say this is like an old man yells at cloud situation, because I do get, like, I'm not with the whole like he threw a no-hitter thing. I'm not. I know, look, the points are made. I respect both of you guys. It was great debate. Like Hall of Fame worthy debate just now. I thought it was fantastic stuff. I enjoyed every second. I genuinely did. I'm going to rewatch this because I want to listen to that again. But I think that oftentimes when it comes to the changes in baseball, we overreact to some of the traditional things that are being changed. So I'm for it, but I'm not as vehement for this versus like the DH thing. That I'm like vehemently for. Like, come on, guys. Like, all right, cool. One guy hit a home run. But after Bartolo Colon hit the home run, should be like, never going to get better than that. Let's go. Like, let's just, it's literally, it peaked. It's reached its apex that it could ever achieve. Bring it on. Like, that's enough with it.
Agree 100% on that one.
And on that note, I got to head out. Again, man, this is an absolute blast. I love the setup you guys got going here. And just any other time you want to have me on to talk Padres, I'm more than down.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Go ahead and plug your show real quick so that everybody listening can tune in.
Absolutely. Locked On Padres, everybody. That is spelled. I mean, you know how that's spelled. The Twitter account, I mean. The Twitter account is at @LO_Padres on Twitter. All kind of good memes and stats and takes, Padres related stuff on there, and news about the show. Or my own personal account, that's at Javipeno. That's JAVIIPENO, where there's memes and all sorts of dreams, I guess, on there as well. The baseball and other weird stuff on there that I talk about. So be free to follow me there. And take care, guys, and stay faithful to all Friar faithful homies out there. And no, not go Red Sox. They are bad, extremely bad. All right, take care, guys.
Later, buddy. Thank you.
And that's so now we get to crap all over him, right?
No, Javi's a good dude. He's a loyal Padres fan, but apparently we found out that he grew up a Yankees fan. So maybe have a slight change of opinion about him after this one. But guys, let's talk about the Red Sox. We've talked enough about the NL West and the Padres out there. Let's talk a little bit about the Red Sox, who just wrapped up a 10-game homestand, going 5-5 on this homestand. Not that great. Alex Cora rated the team with a C+. Do you agree with that rating, or do you think that AC is being a bit harsh?
I think he's being a little bit nice.
Being a little bit kind to the team.
Yeah, he's being too kind. Our pitching needs to start going more than 5 innings. When you have Richards and Perez. Perez didn't. What did he go 3 2/3 the other day? And then you got Richards, who can't even go 5. You got our back end of our rotation, who can't pitch more than 5 innings. And then you got Pivetta, who's throwing like a no-hitter going into the 6th inning. You got Eddie. Who didn't pitch for an entire year. He comes back. And he looks, rusty in his first game, but then he comes out. He's 4-0 right now. He pitched 7 innings yesterday. Evaldi, he pitched 6 innings on Monday. Mm-hmm. He had a bad outing the other day, which it's gonna happen. But our pitching, something's gotta go. Something's gotta happen. Like, they gotta get their stuff together.
So Eddie incidentally has He's thrown at least 5 innings in his last 31 starts, going back to 2019. And the Red Sox are 48-12, 800 percentage in his starts since the beginning of 2018, 17-3 in his last 20. And he's, he exceeds Garrett Cole, Kershaw, and Mike Fiers as the highest team winning percentage in pitcher starts for the last 3 years. But the starting pitchers have thrown 108 innings this season, which is tied for third most in the American League, only behind Detroit and Oakland. And they've received 5 innings from their starters in 16 games, tied with Oakland. And they've thrown fewer than 5 innings in 5 of the club's last 9 games, after doing so in only one of their first 13. So that's a problem. I mean, it's a problem in that someone has to make the decision to take the starter out. They don't leave on their own unless they get injured. So if those decisions are made responsibly, I'm sure they're being made reluctantly, like Cora and whomever in the dugout are saying, shit, that's not how we thought this was going to go today. And when the hell is this? I don't know what they're saying, but you know what I'm saying. It's like we reach a point as fans, we don't know the backstory. We don't know if there's a mechanical issue, a psychological issue. We only know what we see, and we can only evaluate the team based upon those statistics. But it's problematic, and it's not really a reductive argument. It's a problem we knew we were going to have going into the season. We knew that.
Absolutely, yeah. Starting pitching and bullpen pitching were 2 huge points that everybody was talking about going into the season, as this is going to be the major question marks. And so far, it's been above board for the most part. The stats that you were reading actually were relatively positive, except for the last 9 games. So it's been playing out of their shoes a little bit, but it is something that needs to be corrected, and it needs to be fixed. And hopefully it is something that we're able to right before it all goes horribly wrong.
Well, there was some discussion. I was listening to the Rob Bradford, Steve Peralt show on Saturday, and they were talking.
Hi, baby.
Yeah, thank you. They were talking about 2 things predominantly: Franchy Cordero and also Garrett Richards. And, I think there was a question like, what would you like the answer to your question to be today relating to what's going on with the team on July 1st? And I thought it was a pretty interesting question to ask, because it revolved around, Garrett Richards and Cordero as well. And it's sort of like, we see what we see. We've seen a sample size that's growing with Garrett Richards. And is his problem, can someone work with him to fix that problem with his walks and with his consistency? Or is this the Garrett Richards that we have today, and not the Garrett Richards from San Diego, Los Angeles, that was a more efficient and effective pitcher? And if that's the case, now what? What do we do?
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know what we do, because it's not really been that great so far. So I know a lot of people out there on Twitter land and on Facebook have been clamoring to get Tanner Houck up into the starting rotation. Is that the right answer? I don't know.
I think right now too many people are clamoring for Houck and Duran to be brought up. Duran has only played in the outfield for a little less than a year, and that was in Double-A ball. He's now in Worcester in the alternate site, so he hasn't really been playing against other teams yet. Once the spring training, it showed that he needs some work on his outfield route. Right now, he's working in the corners in the outfield to work on a position that is possibly going to be needed in the future. With Franchy Cordero and with like Hunter Renfroe, we need some production out of those parts of the lineup. We're not really getting any. When it comes to Tanner Houck, the situation with him is Houck a better pitcher than Garrett Richards at this moment? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. But he also only has 2 pitches, and if we bring him up way too soon, he's gonna end up getting knocked around. He's had good quality starts lately, but the problem is that without that third pitch, he's going to end up getting figured out and get knocked around, and we don't need that. Would I take 1 year of Richards being garbage and then take 5 years of Tanner Houck after he's developed his split finger? 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Brad. He needs a third pitch. That he can pitch to lefties high and tight on the inside. Many analysts have been saying this for a long time. He's young, and I think he, again, like many players, they do better, I believe, with some seasoning where they can build up their confidence. Because other than that, otherwise, unless you're extraordinary, there are expectations that place a lot of pressure on a young player in their early 20s to overcome, and if they don't, it can be detrimental. I don't know. I mean, that would be a question you'd have to ask somebody like Andrew Benintendi, for example, and ask him what it was like, what it's been like, or other people like that, what it's been like to live up to those expectations. But I wanted to say 2 things came to my mind. One is Garrett Whitlock. He
Phenomenal.
he hasn't allowed a run in 5 outings this season. He's pitched 11.1. His 11.1 inning scoreless streak is the longest by a Red Sox player to begin a career since Austin Maddox did it in 2017. And prior to allowing a Kyle Lewis double on Friday, Whitlock had retired 25 consecutive batters. That's the longest streak by a Red Sox pitcher since Chris Sale did it in 2019. Also, prior to walking Evan White on Friday, Whitlock hadn't walked any of his first 73 batters. That includes those he faced in spring training, which were 35, and the regular season of 38. So we can't say the same for Garrett Richards or for Martin Perez. I mean, these guys are giving up walks. That's a problem. If Whitlock isn't, I think that's a solution. It's the only solution we have. And put Richards in the bullpen. Let's hope Brazier comes back and can ameliorate the problem with Darwin Hernandez. And then the other thing I was going to throw out to you guys, and I have no idea what you think, but rumor has it, and I don't know if it's possible, that Bobby Dahlback did some pitching in college. Is that an option?
I don't think so, because if that's the option, I mean, Verdugo did some pitching too. And Verdugo jokingly said something last year, but let me pitch, coach. I don't think Dahlback is an option.
Okay, fair enough.
And I also don't really see Whitlock as an option either as a starter, simply because they're trying to take care of him right now after, I believe he's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. So they're taking it really easy on him right now. And it's doing them a lot of good. He's going out there. He's giving them 2 innings. I could see him as an opener.
Yeah.
Maybe go 2 innings as an opener. But there was one game where he went out for 2 innings and then he came out for a third and he just didn't look good. He looked like he was tired.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, when you work to be in the bullpen, you don't have that arm stamina to go out there and throw 5-6 innings like a starter trains himself to be able to. But to your point, 14 strikeouts to 1 walk. Whitlock has been the man out of the bullpen. And I think that's the role that he needs to be embraced and utilized into this season. And I think that's what Cora is ultimately going to do. I think we're going to try to ride the ship as bumpy as it gets until we can possibly get Sale back, until mid-season, whenever Houck might be ready to come up and make his appearance, barring any injury. That I think is the plan. And we'll see what happens from there. I do want to get into some more stuff. As April's coming into a close, who do you think the player of the month for the Boston Red Sox should be?
Wow. I would say, let me think on that. Brad, how about you take it before me?
I'm going with Eddie.
Eddie went 4-0. He's got a 3.52 ERA, 26 strikeouts to only 2 walks. That's a solid choice for a player of the month, and I think that's deserving, especially coming off of what he went through last year as well.
I mean, I'd either go Eddie or Verdugo, and you know, Verdugo is going to be up there every month. He's going to be like a player of the month every month. JD, you know, he gets the player of the week. But I think, like you said, just because of everything that he's gone through, the fact that he's 4-0, his ERA is up above 3, and he hasn't lost a game yet. Granted, he's been backed up, but Eddie's my choice.
Yeah. For me, you mentioned my guy. JD Martinez is my player of the month. He is either tied for or in the lead in the major leagues in home runs, RBIs, and hits. He's also batting .370 on the year. I don't know if you guys caught the quote that he had not too long ago, but he said, "I'm not a slugger, I'm a hitter."
Yeah.
And that's what he's proven this year. He's got already 10 doubles on the season. He's not just sitting there swinging for the fences or striking out like somebody like Aaron Judge does. He's out there actually contributing, and he's hitting for average.
He ranks in the top 3 in slugging with a 731, third with an OPS of 1.163, second with hits 28 and doubles, as you've already said, and leads the majors in RBIs, extra base hits of 15 and total bases of 57. So he's been solid all April, and I think for all of us fans, I mean, me personally, I am so relieved because we were worried, and he looked, tepid in spring training until the end. And I thought, oh my gosh, let's not let this be a repeat of 2020. So I'm excited. Really great April for him.
Now, do you guys have any concerns for Bobby Dalbec? He hasn't hit a bomb yet.
I think that'll come. Bobby's hitting .241, which is pretty decent for a rookie, especially a rookie that's supposed to just be a power slugger. He's hitting .241. He only has 4 RBIs, which is a little bit more troublesome, in my opinion, than not hitting a home run because he's come up with bases juiced a few times. He's come up with a lot of runners in scoring position. So for him to not be able to put the ball in play whenever he's got runners on the bags, that's more of a worry than him just not hitting a home run. Those will come, especially as it starts to heat up. I actually predict that he's going to hit a home run on this next coming up road trip. They're going to need.
You think it's going to be against DeGrom? I think it'll be against DeGrom.
I'm not going to say that it's going to be against DeGrom because DeGrom is a machine, and
he is, but he always gives up like that one weird home run. And he throws 100 miles per hour. All Bobby's got to do is just put the bat on the ball, and boom, it's gone.
I think more likely it'll be in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, Brad, I do have a concern. I listened to, like you guys, Carabas, Over the Monster, a bunch of podcasts where they're all talking about how many home runs is Bobby Dalbec going to hit this year? 50, 45, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, Bobby Dahlbeck's on social media. He listens to this stuff. His friends do. His parents do. Again, if somehow you say to yourself, what must this player be feeling and thinking? And how does that, even if you think about a player that gets the yips, can't throw the ball back to the catcher, why does that happen? It's something neurological. And I just wonder if by hyping somebody like they did to Michael Chavis 2 years ago, he was the ice horse, he was the next coming of the Messiah, and then he just fell off the radar screen. I just wonder if it's just too much for these young kids to be listening to all of this hype and living up to those expectations. And so maybe he'll work through it. Let's hope. But I think that's a factor.
I mean, you made that same point with Benintendi when you were talking about him, a guy that came up, he had all this pressure and all this hype behind him, and now he's playing for the Kansas City Royals poorly.
Yeah, it's a sad story. It is. I mean,
So-
when you think about it, how was Andrew Benintendi the 7th draft choice in the entire country and then set the world on fire when he came here? Like, what happened to him?
Yeah. I mean, I know like the talking heads will say like he tried to go and become Benny Biceps and get all buff in the gym and all that stuff, and it messed with his swing mechanics and all that. But he's a lot leaner this year, and he's still having the same struggles at the plate. He is definitely not that pure hitter that we all thought that he was. He has a pretty swing when he connects. The problem is lately he's not been connecting.
Yeah, and what do you and some people can overcome adversity, but I wonder if he had the courage to talk it up and to talk to you and trusted you and said something like, do you think every day I listened to social media, I looked at social media, listened to the podcast, whatever, and I just felt like an unwanted child. Like nobody, that was, people were like, they were trying to ride me out of town on a rail. I mean, Bloom had no confidence in me, whatever. What must that do to you? What must it do to your self-esteem? Not a whole lot.
Yeah, and I think Michael Chavis, you bring him up, I think he might be facing a similar fate. And, I hope it's not the same for Bobby. I really do. I hope that he's able to overcome that adversity. Maybe somebody like Veritek being there in the dugout this year will actually be able to help mentor him and coach him along.
Yeah, we're lucky to have Veritek for that reason.
Well, guys, I appreciate you so much for coming on here tonight. It's been a blast talking baseball with you guys. I do want to say a shout out to all of my New England Patriots fans out there. The rumor mill is definitely buzzing that the Pats might be interested in moving up to the top 10 in the upcoming NFL draft with their eyes dead set on quarterback from Ohio State, Justin Fields. So that'll be something very interesting to watch as we move forward into NFL draft season. And Zach and I will be back on here next week talking about the draft and all the results from that. Brad, why don't you go ahead and plug the Pesky Report and let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find, you can listen to our podcast. Brandon actually comes on and co-hosts, and Jeff is a co-host as well. You can follow us on Twitter at Pesky Report. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, leave us a review, comment, whatever. Share our stuff. We have some merch too. I'll end up posting a link at some point in the future. But yeah. And we do an episode. We've tried so far to do an episode for every series that goes on with the Red Sox.
Yeah. So if you want Red Sox recaps of all the recent series, they drop the day after the series is over. Follow the Pesky Report. Keep up with the Red Sox this season as they take their march towards October. And like I said, Zach and I will be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel right here on the Nest Podcast. And we will be talking NFL draft and we'll update you on some more Major League Baseball. Thanks for joining us, guys. Peace.
Thank you.